So much for being here and for being interested in the library's Mean Business Grant. And I actually want to, what's that? Oh, hello, welcome. No, come in, join us. There's a seat right up front. And introduce yourself.
I'm Chris from the Pember Library.
Awesome, thank you for being here.
Just running a little late. So
yeah, that's okay. That's because you, yeah, I was going to say, because you've come from. So I want to start this morning with a story, and the story is actually from Jamie LaRue, who's now at the Office of Intellectual Freedom at ALA, but he was the director of the libraries in Colorado, Douglas County Libraries in Colorado. And he told this great story about when he was getting rid of or rethinking how reference services were doing their work and kind of getting rid of the whole Fort Circ, as he called it, you know, and making it less intimidating. And one of the things he did was send his reference librarians out into the community. And he went to the Chamber of Commerce at Douglas County and said, here, I am giving you a reference librarian. And they were like, why would we need a reference librarian? He's like, look, she's just going to sit here. She'll be here. She'll just going to listen to what you're talking about. And at one of the meetings, or after she was there for like 2 or 3 meetings, she kept hearing the same thing. So we're trying to figure out, like, what's the most efficient parking method? Is it parallel? Is it like this? Is it at an angle? They were going to do a building, and they wanted Western-style architecture, but what does Western-style architecture mean? They weren't sure. And so as they were going along, so she went back, and she does what amazing reference librarians do, which is research the heck out of it, and came back to them and said, okay, so I heard your questions, and I have a presentation for you. And she did a presentation and said, this is the most efficient parking. This is what Western style architecture looks like. And at the end of the thing, she had a standing ovation. So after about a year of being with the Chamber of Commerce, Jamie went back to them and said, okay, I have to pull back our reference librarian. We're putting her somewhere. They're like, no, we need a reference librarian, right? So this is what, part of what, when we're doing the Libraries Mean Business Grant, what we're trying to do is position ourselves so that people understand what we're bringing to the table and what we have to offer. And I just had a conversation, actually, Shelby's been doing a series of small business workshops throughout the area, and there was one in South Glens Falls, and I went to. And there was somebody there from an IDA who talked about working with global foundries to get that up and running. And so after his presentation, I went up and I talked to him. I said, listen, I said, we're really excited to have global foundries in the area, and our library, Clifton Park Half Moon, is seeing a huge need to offer English language learning because there's a big influx of a new population that may not speak English. And of course, along with that makes a chance for people to get assimilated to our culture. I said, and libraries have a really important role to play in economic development and in doing these things. And if you bring us in early in the conversation, we can help make that process smooth for the families and everybody else. So please, let's start to be a part of the conversation. That's why I'm working with Shelby and Marty. And so we're hoping to be able to do this throughout our counties and with all our libraries. So, all right, so just to start, let me just do a little bit of housekeeping. Please mute or put on vibrate your phones. If you need to use the wireless, the password is reading1. 1 is the number 1. Reading is all lowercase. And if you need a bathroom, by all means use it. It is right down the hall to the right, way down the hall. So Simon Sinek tells us to start with why whenever we're thinking about anything. So when I was thinking about why are we doing this, yes, because the state has given us an adult literacy grant that's focused on workforce development. That's our number 1 why, right? But also because we have a chance to position libraries as business accelerators and show people that libraries are really valuable economic engines. And I don't think that's a way that people think about us right now, necessarily. Right? We're not only driving foot traffic to our local communities, and hopefully people who go to the library are using local businesses, but also we really have a lot of resources and talent and services that can help businesses get to where they need to be. So that's part of what we're trying to showcase with this. Another thing is this is a great chance for us to reach a new demographic that may or may not be used in the library and to, again, showcase what we have to offer them. We also get to meet some very specific needs that have been identified by chambers of commerce and economic development corporations and LDCs in our area. So it's a chance for us to show them that we can be good partners and provide these services. And finally, because we have to recognize that we're part of a much larger socio-ecosystem, right? We're only going to be as successful as a community as we serve, so we want our communities to thrive so that we can. And again, the grant is made possible, I'm going to get this name right, for the New York State Library's Adult Literacy Library Services Program. And the grant runs from 2017 to 2019, so this is our first year. So kind of planning and figuring out how we're going to roll it out. And it's a brave new experiment, so stick with me on this. So there's going to be two parts to the grant program, and libraries can choose to take part in one, both, or neither. It's totally up to you. So the first part are the 90-minute turnkey programs that we're going to be offering to our member libraries. And each program will have kind of 4 different segments. One will be a presentation by an expert meeting a need that's been identified by that community. The second is identifying local resources. So we're going to invite community partners, like in Saratoga County, that might be the Saratoga County Prosperity Partnership, but it might be the local Chamber of Commerce or other people, so that people can see who the resources are, they can meet with them, they can have some FaceTime. Third, we're going to be identifying library resources, and part of what we're going to be doing today is we have the fabulous Chris Alexander from Saratoga Springs Public Library, who's going to give us a really thorough tour of a bunch of resources that'll be really helpful to share with small businesses and entrepreneurs. Fourth, we want to have some voices from the field. We want to identify local businesses that have used some of these tools, that have worked with SCORE or with their chambers to develop, and who have success stories to say how those services have impacted them. So we're working to identify those, and we may be relying very heavily on our member libraries to identify local businesses that have gone through this process. And then we will wrap it up, and this is an idea I totally stole from Shelby, with a speed dating time so that everybody has a chance to talk with the experts who are presenting and with the local chambers of commerce and EDCs. So when I talk to the chambers of commerce and EDCs, and I was asking them, what are the needs that you see that we need to address? It became very quickly that there were 4 primary areas. So that's how we're going to divide up the program tracks. So the first was Business 101, and that's like, how do you create a business plan? How do you identify funding? All of the kind of things that you need to do to put into place to start a business. The second was, what was it? Marketing. It's right in front of me. So the second was marketing, and this is mainly, it's part of it is figuring out who your target market is, doing community mapping to figure out what sort of services the community needs, as well as figuring out how to best use social media, including Facebook, and using tools like Skype to be able to interview people who may not be in the area, and how to monetize those relationships. The third is great employees, so this is kind of all the HR stuff, and thinking about how do you find, retain, and train really fantastic people to help your business grow. And the final one is around government and legal issues. So this could be anything from how do I deal with the Affordable Care Act to minimum wage laws and changes, and keeping up with all of that, researching patents, all of that kind of stuff. So the second part of the program, which is somewhat covered up, I didn't think about that. Oh, wait, I can minimize this. Haha. Okay. The second part of the grant opportunity is to have somebody from your staff or multiple people from your staff to get their notary public license. And so to that end, we are offering a reimbursement for any staff that want to go for the notary public license exam prep at SUNY Adirondack. It's going to be happening on April 27th. Unfortunately, it's the same day as our adult literacy workshop, but maybe this will hit a different people can go for the training. So the training is $49. Libraries would have to pay that out of pocket, but when people come back with their certificates, get them to me, email me or whatever, and you'll be reimbursed. We would love to be able to tell our communities that if you go to any public library in the SAL system, you can get stuff notarized. And the program will cover everything from avoiding conflicts of interest to maintaining professional ethics, charging proper fees. If you choose to charge fees, you may not. Handling special situations and when to defer to an attorney. So, oh, you had to register for the class through SUNY Adirondack, so you'll do that directly. And, yeah. So that's kind of the basics of what the program will look like. If you have any questions, just make notes of it, and I'll totally answer them all at the end of the program. But now I'm going to let Shelby and Marty come talk about what they're up to at the Saratoga County Prosperity Partnership. So welcome, Shelby and Marty. You have to come up and talk into the, or near the microphone so Nancy can hear as well.
All right, well, I'm going to start out. That's me. I'm not wearing my bow tie today, but usually I do. I don't know, I can't find that one right now. I'm not sure where it is. Anyway, so thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. My name is Marty Vonnox. I'm the president of the Saratoga County Prosperity Partnership. And we're an organization that was created by the county back in 2014. The county wanted a more proactive and accountable and transparent economic development effort, and that's who we are. So we divide our work up into a couple different ways, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to have Shelby come up and talk about one of the sectors that we're working on. I want to reflect a little bit about libraries. You're all librarians, and I was thinking, I took a couple notes when you were initially talking. When I was a kid, I love libraries. I mean, I love books. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm always reading a book. I'm always talking about books. Right now we're hiring a new staff person. One of my interview questions is, do you read? Not are you capable of reading, but do you read books? Do you like to read books? What kind of books do you read? And we've gotten some pretty good answers. But I remember when I was a kid growing up in the Midwest in Rockford, Illinois, in the summers, my mom, and I'm old enough that this wasn't an issue back then, I would ride my bike probably 3 or 4 miles to a library. I was required every week to go to the library and check out 1 or 2 books. And when I would go, I would, for a number of years, maybe like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, every summer I would check out at least 3 or 4 times a single book, one title that I always read, and I would read it again and again and again. And it was a biography of the Indian Crazy Horse, one of the Ogallala tribe chieftains from back in Custer's day and that type of thing. And it just was, I don't know why, I was enamored with this American Indian. And I was reminded of that recently. I actually went out and bought a book on his early life. In my early career, and I'm old enough in my career not to have dealt with computers. We didn't have a computer on every desk. As an assistant city manager in a suburb of Chicago, I was often sent to the library to do research on whatever it is that we were doing. So I spent a lot of time early in my career sitting in a library, in the local library, doing research. And so I'm here to tell you that I love libraries, and I'm glad I'm here, and we're glad to be talking about the partnership. Real quickly, and I'll let Shelby get to the meat of the issue. We do 4 things. We attract new companies to the area. That means going out all over the country and eventually all over the world to talk to people who have an ability to influence a decision to make an investment here in the community. Shelby, working for another organization, was very instrumental in helping get Global Foundries here. I was part of that team, and there were a lot of people on that team. You'll probably meet a lot of people over the years who said have had some part to play in that. So we do a lot of attraction. The other thing we do is business retention and expansion. In fact, that's Shelby's title. And in that regard, we help existing companies expand and grow. And how do we do that? A lot of it's just getting them information they need to do just that. Some of it is providing and getting them access to programs and incentives that are also available to those coming from the outside in. And some of it is just referring them to the right people, to another business, a B2B referral as we call it. The third thing we do is work very closely, again, with global foundries and the whole semiconductor industry to leverage that investment they've made. And the fourth thing is relationships. We define as relationships with local, state, federal government officials, elected and appointed, but our library system falls into that as well. In relationships with anybody who can help build our capacity as an organization to grow and expand, or help make that influential decision to for a company from outside in to expand here as well. And so, as Erica mentioned, we're doing a series of workshops on small business, and to get out to the smaller communities so that the people there that are either starting a business or have started a business, probably are working or working on their business during the day. We have these workshops at night. We want to consistently and continually reach out to these small companies and businesses so that they could be the next global foundries or the next IBM or the next GE. They all started with one employee, right? So that one employee in Hadley or in Corinth or in Waterford might be the next big company and next growth engine for our community. So we never discount that. And so that's why we do that. And hopefully we can continue to work closely with all you to develop that as well. So with that, without further ado, as they say, I'd like to invite Shelby Schneider up here to tell you a little bit about what we're doing on the small business side. Shelby, give her a hand. I'm a Toastmaster, so you never leave the podium until the other speaker comes up, and you always applaud. So.
And I'm supposed to be starting my Toastmasters coming up, and I think everyone could use a little polishing when it comes to public speaking. I could myself. Sometimes I get nervous, but anyway, I'm Shelby Schneider. It is such a pleasure to be here, and it was really a delight to meet Erica for the first time. We were connected through the Service Corps of Retired Executives, otherwise known as SCORE, you probably all know about. And essentially who we are, what we do, I think Marty has covered that, but ultimately we're the first point of contact for business development in Saratoga County, New York. And what that means is, like Marty said, we deal with everything from inquiries from very large companies such as global foundries or large manufacturers, etc. And we work with existing businesses throughout Saratoga County. That is my primary role with the partnership, and we field many, many, many inquiries from small businesses looking to start up, get access to capital, get access to the mythical grants that everyone hears so much about in late night TV. And I mean, there are actually real grants out there, but we just try to field a lot of these calls, requests, and help point people in the right direction. So it's almost like a hub and spoke kind of model. We don't necessarily provide business planning services, but we know who to send people to. We don't have direct loans out of our office, but we work with our banking system. We work with the Small Business Administration. We also work with many local community economic development funds throughout Saratoga County. Now, how many of you are aware that Saratoga Springs has funds available for small businesses looking to grow and expand in the city? They have a $50,000, well, they have a loan fund. It was funded years ago, and right now I want to say they have just under $300,000 in it. And for every one low to moderate income job that's created, someone can borrow $25,000. So we happen to be a conduit for that program, and if someone is looking to get access to that capital and they're looking to grow in Saratoga Springs, we can help them prepare an application, bring it to City Council, and have that approved and funded. And we just did one a week and a half ago. We brought Upstate Distilling, which is over on Geyser Road in Saratoga Springs. They are a spirits producer that's over in the former, right across the street from Mary Lou Whitney's estate, and they are looking at hiring 2 people. So We provide the conduit to those resources, but we don't want them to be a secret. So that's why partnerships, like working with the library system, is so important, and that's why we have been doing outreach throughout Saratoga County to really bring our toolbox out on the road. You know, we could do a lot of things from our office in Malta or Saratoga, but we represent every community, whether it's from the town of Day down to Waterford, to Clifton Park, to Saratoga Springs here. And you know, each community has its own complexion, and people have their own affinity. Like I know that anyone pretty much who lives Wilton North, exit 16 North, gravitates towards Glens Falls or South Glens Falls. I know this, I had a babysitter who I couldn't keep from going to her Target in Glens Falls instead of the one 5 minutes away from my house because it was affinity. So what we try to do is connect people with resources they feel the most comfortable with to help them succeed. So like I said, we have started a series of small business workshops. We started up in the village of Corinth, and we brought two mentors from SCORE. We also brought folks from Saratoga National Bank. The USDA came to talk about their loan and grant programs, and we had someone from a real estate agency throughout Saratoga County, and like Erica was saying, we provided that speed networking, and we're getting real business planning leads from there. We had someone who's got a retail business in downtown Hadley who is looking to grow and expand her operation, and we've got other leads that the bank was very excited to get. So our next one is going to be tomorrow evening in the village of Schuylerville, and you know, thanks to Erica and the local library there in Schuylerville, it's at the village hall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or not the village hall, excuse me.
I was like,
It's
where are you going?
No, town of Saratoga. It's at the
Yes,
town of
yes,
Saratoga,
town
town
hall.
hall.
Okay.
It's at town hall.
Yeah.
Big building on the corner of the old school, which was a Empire Zone.
I put Shelby in touch with Caitlin. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
But yes, so we're going to be doing that tomorrow evening, and then we're going to take a break for a month or so and kick off these workshops again, because we want to be out in the trenches, in the community. One job created in the northern towns is like 50 jobs created in Saratoga Springs. And you know, as my role with business retention and expansion, you know, 80% of our economic growth in Saratoga County comes from within, and it comes from providing the tools and resources that businesses need to succeed in Saratoga County so that they can start, so they can understand, how do I go and look for a business location? How do I write a business plan? What is a bank looking for? How do I research my business? Can I find someone to write a business plan for me? And our answer to that is always, no, you can't. You shouldn't. This is you should be intimately invested in your plans. And what we try to do is keep people from spending money and, you know, spending their life savings on a plan that they really could have worked out on paper, or with the help of trusted advisors and trusted researchers. They could have had the proper market research that they were looking for from a research librarian, or the sage guidance of a counselor from the Service Corps of Retired Executives, or the SBA Small Business Development Center. So we try to keep people from, we don't tell them what to do, we don't tell them how to write their business plan, we don't tell them what a good idea is versus what a bad idea is, we just fill their toolbox. So that's what we do as an organization. And hearing about Clifton Park Library System, has anyone ever heard of, in your need for English as a second language assistance, has anyone ever heard of the Capital Region Language Center? Yes, okay. They have an office right at 77 Van Dam Street in Saratoga Springs, and they do provide that ESL courses. And I have the contact, Kim Anderson, who I am sure, they are also down in Albany, but would love to come down and give a presentation at the library. So that's what we do. I'm a connector by nature. It's what I love to do. I feel like that's probably the single most important part of economic development. And I look forward to connecting with all of you and learning more about your system and how we can help facilitate growth and really make the library what it, elevate the perception that the library is still the most valuable resource for, research. And, a lot of people think that they can get anything they need off of Google or the internet. And there's a lot to be said for proper research that you can get from a library. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And I brought some collateral materials about our organization and just some handouts that we have at the workshop.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for giving us an overview of what's going on with the SCPP, and now it is my very great pleasure to bring up the magnificent Chris Alexander, who is, a fun fact, if you don't know, Chris is also a lawyer. So she's like this especially magical unicorn. I'm always like, reference librarians blow me away because they can just do the most amazing thing. And I hope, did everybody get the resource that Chris created when they came in? And if you didn't, just raise your hand. Business resources, and then, okay. And I'll turn it over to Chris. So to move the slides, you have to hit these arrows there.
Oh, I
With
I can't just do it back and forth here.
Apparently not.
Okay. I just need to get to the internet also.
Oh, okay. Everybody else has the resources? Excellent.
Just give you a minute to get to the databases. So I can... Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I forgot there were more numbers. Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Chris Alexander again from the Saratoga Springs Public Library. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is what resources you have. And I'm going to show you some databases, some that you have access to, some that not all of you have access to, but are amazing and you might think about. And also talk to you about using the census, which is really underappreciated, I think, by a lot of people. So I just went to an article, What Entrepreneurs Need, and I thought it was a pretty good idea of what libraries can provide to entrepreneurs. The demographic data, this is your market research, and the census has amazing information. Virtually all of the very expensive business databases for market research are built off of the census data because, you know, you can do a survey, but who's got the resources to do the big survey that essentially the federal government does as part of the census data? List of suppliers and buyers, legislative, regulatory information, learning about the industry, and that's one of the best things that you can provide to small business and startup businesses is research about the industry that they are in. We can do research about the competing businesses in the area, how do they market their products and services, legal information, and information on starting the businesses, economic indicators, and then trade journal articles particularly. So what the tools that we have, We have databases. We have books. I brought a selection of some of our books, including some of the NOLO self-help startup business kits and all that. And being a lawyer, I wouldn't recommend anybody do the whole thing by themselves without talking to a lawyer, but it can take, you know, also being a lawyer and being on the other side of the desk, the further ahead you are and you know exactly what you want and you do the background research and you don't have to spend hours with the attorney paying for those hours to tell them what you want, but you come in and you say, this is what I want, you know, this is what I need, and, you know, it'll save people money. We have databases, we have magazines, newspapers, government data, largely from the census. There are free websites that we can tell them about, and then strategic referrals. A referral to SCORE, for example, that Shelby was talking about is probably one of the best things that you can do for a small business that's starting out. Okay, so the 3 demos today, I'm going to do 2 databases, Business Insights Essentials, which is part of the Novel New York databases that are provided with funding for public libraries. So you all have that. Reference USA, which I know we have, Clifton Park, Crandall, I'm not sure who else has it, but which is a phenomenal database. Every time I show somebody who's looking, doing business research, Reference USA, they're blown away by it. It's a great database. And then the census, which is got so much in it that it's a little hard to use, but you can help them through that. So let's start with Business Insights Essentials. So the things that it has in it, the 3 basic things, company information, industry information, and then trade journal articles. And the company, the bigger the company, the more information they have. For example, they have SWOT analysis, the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. For the big companies, they'll have that, but you know, if you look at a little restaurant, they're not going to have that kind of information for that. They've got parent-subsidiary hierarchy. So, for example, you look up a bank, you can find out who the parent is, or if you get to the parent, you can find out who the subsidiaries are. And they have some financial information. Industry information, which if I can give you one search tip, if you're, I'm assuming you're probably using this already, but you need to search by industry code in order to get good information. If you just do a keyword search, you're going to miss it, because this, basically the subject headings of these databases, these business databases, the NAICS code is the way you search. That's the subject heading for industries. It'll also give you an idea of the associations for each industry, which is really helpful, because people who are in an industry, if they don't know where the trade shows are and what's going on in the industry, hooking up with the trade associations is a really good idea. It's got market share and rankings, so you can tell who are the big boys in each industry. It's got industry encyclopedias, so you can get lengthy articles about the industry, and then trade journal articles, so what's happening, what's new. So why would you go to this database? If you go in, you can do research and figure out who are the competitors, what's their share of the market, how's the industry doing, what are the trends in the industry, and which association, as I said, to contact to find out about trade shows and things like that. So I'm just going to get out of this for a second and go to the actual database. Oops. Oh, I missed it. Where's my?
Right there.
That one? Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, let's start out. First, if you're in a particular area and you just want to find out about businesses in the area, you can actually build a list. So if you, so we'll do, of course you can search for a company finder also, but you know, if you just want to search for a particular company. But you also can just build a list of companies. For example, let's choose, we're going to choose, hang on, let me search. Okay, we'll look for companies in Saratoga Springs, because we're here. Let's do that. So state would be New York. and the city. Okay, now you've done your search. We've looked for all of the businesses that they found. They found 39 businesses. I'm sure there are many more than that, but these are the ones, you know, that they'll have a good data on them. And you can just go down. I'll just choose one. Let's see. I just want to show you something. I'll choose Old Saratoga Brewing, just so you get an idea. This is a very small company, obviously. But if you can look on there, you'll see they'll have some data, some financial data, it tells you, I'll just show you right here, the NAICS code. If you're going to search for the industry, it gives you that. And you can directly search for NAICS code, but I think the best way to do it is to find a company in the industry and look and see what codes they consider that company to be in, and go work into it backwards. They also have, on the side, you can see it down there, they have brands, which is helpful because if somebody comes in with a brand, I mean, we're going directly to the brands. Is this working? Oh, there it goes. You know, for example, these are their beer brands. If somebody comes in and says, you know, they probably wouldn't come with this exact question, but if they come in and they say, there's this product, who's the company that makes it? This is a good place to look and figure out who it is. So, example, one of their beers is called Red Tail. If you had Red Tail and you didn't know who made it, you could come back. I mean, again, that probably wouldn't be the one that you would do. And I'm going to choose a different, let me choose the Saratogan. I'll bring up their record. Again, the same kind of information, articles, some sales and marketing. At the very top, they've got a little thing that talks about the company hierarchy. So if you click on that, this is what I was talking about it. So that's the journal register. So if we click on the journal register, you look, so that's their parent company. And then you have the information about the parent company or the holding company. So if you look on the side, they've got their rankings, who are the big newspapers in the country. They've got the market share, which ones have, I'll just click on the market share reports, for example. And largest newspaper publishers, so they've got a listing by that, and so they'll rank them and tell you what their market share is for each of them. It's got trade journals, so you can look at articles about the newspaper publishing industry, which is really helpful if somebody's trying to learn about their industry. And again, at the top, they've got their NAICS code is, you know, it's a 6-digit code for the whole code, and so it's 511110, and if you search by that in the industries, you'll find things. So, and now I'm going to search for a company. I'm just going to go up to the top. There's a search bar on the very top, and it's got a pull-down menu with company, industry, article, or keyword. Let's keep it on company, and let's look for a great big company so you can see how rich this database is for the bigger companies. So I just put in Microsoft, and if you just look at a bigger company, you'll see that, as with all the business databases, all the red tabs, all the red links on the left navigation bar, it's got their financials, it's got investment reports, it's got magazines, it's got rankings, it's got news, trade journal articles, SWOT, lots and lots and lots of information for companies. And let's go back up to the search, and this time instead of searching by company, I'm just going to search for keyword, and let's search, I'll just show you can go backwards. Let's just search for Red Tail, that brand that we found earlier. And when you search for that, one of the categories that's going to come up is that Red Tail is a brand of Old Saratoga Brewing, so it works. You can search one way or the other. So, let's go look at the industries. Across the top, there's the company's industries. Let's just go look at all industries. If you're looking for an industry, as I said, if you already have the NAICS code, you can just search for the industry that way. But if you don't have any idea what the NAICS code is, I'm going to show you how to look it up. And NAICS stands for North American Industrial Classification System, I think, something like that. Everybody just calls them NAICS. So on the left, there's a search bar, and right above it, it says NAICS. And if you press that, it pulls up the North American Industry Classification System. And we'll look at 2017, and you can see they have, nope, don't want to do the survey. They have all of the categories that are major categories, and say you were looking for, let's see, how about finance and insurance, which starts with 52, and if you open that up, it gives you all of the different ones. So let's go to, you want one in particular? We could go to, I'm looking for a securities broker. Let's see it right off. This is, you're just using a list at this point. I mean, you can try searching by keyword, but you might hit on the right words and you might not. So let's just say we'll go to real estate credit company. If you look here, they give you examples, and they've got all the subcodes also of the different things that you can do. So I'm going to go now, once you've done that, I'm just going to close out this NAICS thing, because once you come back, I'm going to go back to Business Insights, and we're going to search for the industries at the top. Choose the industries, and I'm just going to choose, I have a NAICS code for securities brokerage, so I'm going to put that in, 523120. Yeah. Okay, here's your securities brokerage. If you open up the title, you've got basically an outline of how many companies are in here, how many employees, you know, in the industry. It's got links, industry information, including on the left side, it's got the associations. If you click on that, it will give you the list of associations for the brokerage industry, including, for example, the National Investment Banking Association. Gives you all the contact information, the website, so you can easily find it and you know, pass that on to your small business person who's looking for that. It's got rankings, for example, who are the major leaders in here, and they've got it by different largest Black-owned asset managers, and they've got lots of different rankings for lots of different segments. Leading U.S. Users of business technology. They've got a lot of things that relate to the securities industry. And then the last thing I want to show you in this thing, I said it had companies, industries, and the other thing is articles. So if you look under articles, change the topic search. I'll just put in, for example, the Walt Disney Company. If you were going to. And as I said, there'll be more, the bigger the business, the more articles there will be about it. So if you were looking at a bigger industry, there would be more. All these articles about Walt Disney, they've got, and they're business related articles. So they're, you know, talking about their, you know, their investments and where they're building their parks and things like that. So you can really thoroughly research a company and the industry that way. So that's the Business Insights Essentials, which everyone has. It's provided through funding, state funding. Federal funding? I think federal and state funding, actually.
Make those calls about IMLS.
Yeah. I just have a question about this. Obviously, it's a huge, deep database.
Yes.
Just looking a little bit online, do you know if there are any like resources where someone can go and look at little videos of how to use it, or?
Yes, they definitely have a help section that's, you mean for you or for your,
Right,
person.
because, you know, in our library of, you know, 3 full-time people, when we add everybody together, nobody's going to learn this database.
Okay,
So we're going to need to be able to point people to, here's the database, and here's how you can actually learn how to use it.
right. The best thing, and this is what a lot of libraries do, and you probably do this to some extent also, is to put a link right next to the link to the database, put a link to the tutorials, and every one of these databases has tutorials that come with it, which are a really good way to, you know, get people to use it. I mean, you can make your own tutorials, but
Not happening.
yes, I understand.
Let's be honest.
I mean, I worked for Skidmore for a while as a business librarian, and I made tutorials, but they're very time intensive. And you know, if it's just the 3 of you, that I agree, it's never going to happen. I'm just waiting for the next database I want to talk to you about is Reference USA, and I'm just going to go back to my PowerPoint for a second.
Oh, yeah, it might not work.
Oh, but I have my library card number. Okay, so this is my favorite database. I love this database because it's so practical. You get addresses, and you can make a mailing list, and you can do a mail merge, and you can send out a mass mailing. It's a fabulous database. So what questions? How do I find my potential customers? What other businesses are in the area? And that's important for citing. You don't want to, you know, come into a market that's saturated. But it's also important if you're selling, if you're doing business-to-business marketing, and you have something that you want to market to businesses. This is a great way to figure out where they are, what their address is, how you mail to them. You got contact information, target list. It does have individuals as well as businesses, so you can do a mass mailing to houses. In these days of cell phones, everybody knows that the white pages are not as fulsome as they used to be, and so it's hard to get contact information for individuals, but it does have a lot. And another thing, if you're looking for suppliers for whatever you need, this is a way to search the businesses and find your suppliers. So it answers a lot of questions. So let me get back to my Reference USA. I have to say yes, terms and conditions.
Right there, click the box.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that. Oh, I see. Thank you. It's uber little on here. Okay.
And for those of you, because part of this is just identifying resources for people, I know a lot of our small libraries will not be able to afford Reference USA, but you can always refer them to the libraries like Crandall or Saratoga that have them, so they can always go work with a reference librarian there.
And we get a lot of referrals for our foundation database to find grants, and you know, people are happy to drive. If they're looking for a grant, they're happy to come and, you know, choose one of the libraries that has the grants databases. You may not be able to see all of this, so I'll talk to you about the major divisions here are business and individuals. They've got U.S. businesses, Canadian businesses. They've got a jobs section, which is useful, but I don't think it's any better than just searching Indeed or, you know, one of the job websites. It's got healthcare things, so if you're in the healthcare industry, it's a really, you know, they've pulled out those companies. It's got new businesses, which is interesting because sometimes new businesses don't have the really long-standing supplier relationships that old businesses do, and it's easier in some ways to market to new businesses because they're much less loyal, I would say, to, you know, because they've only been dealing with a supplier for a little while. They might consider somebody new who's going to give them a better deal. It's also got a white pages. I mean, you can look this up. You can look up company names here. If, you know, sometimes you go on websites and have you ever gone to search for a company's phone number and there's no phone number on the website because they don't want your call. They want you to contact them through their contact form. This is the way to find a phone number, a secret way. So it's got other uses as well. And they got a brand new section called U.S. Consumers Lifestyles, which is great for individual marketing. So let's go first to, let's see. Let's go to U.S. businesses first. Unless you're looking for a phone number, do not use the easy search. You always want to use the, advanced search, because this lets you have the most control over what you're looking for. Oh, I'm still waiting. Okay. On the left-hand navigation bar, lots of categories. You can search by company name. The things that are really great is you can search by geography, city, metro area, zip code, a radius, if you want it to be a radius around where you're located, neighborhood. You can do a map-based search. So today, let's start with, let's do a Saratoga County one first. So click the county, and then choose. We'll have to choose the state first, so we don't end up with Saratoga Springs, Utah. Then pick. It brings you a drop-down menu, and you have to be very careful because you will. Why did I see Saratoga, not Saratoga Springs? Oh, in the county, right? Of course. Okay, sorry. Thank you. And then you just, well, before we view our results, well, let's first view our results. We'll look at everything. Okay, here's a list. It pulled up 9,875 results for businesses in Saratoga County. And if you if you click there and select, there's a little box on the top on the blue bar and where you can select all of the businesses on that page, and you can download them, put them in an Excel folder if you want, and do it that way. And if you see these little links over here, those are hierarchy. That means that they're either at the bottom or top, you know, they're either a subsidiary or they're a parent company. If you click the link, they'll give you the relationship. I'm just going to go back and revise my search. Let's look for all the breweries in Saratoga County. You know, kind of fun. Maybe you've got, you're a farmer and you've got hops that you want to sell to these breweries. Like, where are they? How can I target them? So we're going to, guess what? NAICS, our favorite search thing. And you can do a search in NAICS. You can search also by standard industry codes, which are the older standard, but still those two standards are both around. But I suggest using the NAICS if you can. You know, if you have an SIC code and you want to use it. So I searched for breweries. I did a keyword search. It came up. So you just select it to add it to the mix. So now, let's see. Let me make sure that we still have our geography. Yep, our geography is still selected. So we're Saratoga County, all the breweries. Look at it. Okay, 6 breweries in Saratoga County. So I'm going to select to choose all of them. This is a really small list. You can, and let's just try downloading it. So you download it. You can download to common CSV file or Excel, which, you know, both will give you an Excel file. And you can download, and you can show what you want to download. For example, if you choose the custom fields, it shows you, you've got the company name, the executive first name and last name, the address, city, state, zip code. What else might you want? How about the phone number? You know, or the fax number. Add that to the list. And then you just download your records, and it'll pull up an Excel file. Hopefully. And there you have it. And you combine an Excel spreadsheet like this with a Word document, and you can do, you know, individualized mailing lists. You can do mailing labels, and it's great. It's a great marketing tool. for 6 people, it wouldn't be that hard to type it out. If you had, 600, it would be a little more difficult. So let's go back and do a new search. So let's search by city this time. Okay, choose the state. State of New York. Okay. Actually, I didn't want to do that. I added New York as a search term. You're going to get everyone in New York. You don't want that. So let's take that back out. You just need to use the pull-down menu. Let's choose Clifton Park. Something local for us to use. You can find it. Clifton Park. There we go. And let's search restaurant. Back to the NAICS codes. Let's see if restaurant works or if we have to. Oh, it does. Full service restaurants or limited service restaurants with a takeout or a full service. Let's choose the full service. Let's view our results. There we go. We have 49 results for restaurants in Clifton Park. And if you see at the top, they're sorted by alphabetical order. You could sort it by zip code. You could sort it by street address. You can sort it different ways. There's also a heat map at the very top level of the navigation bar. There's a heat map where you can show where they're concentrated. And if you just go down, you can see. And then they've got the individual ones that you can just click on and figure out where they all are. So, I don't know, this database, I love it. So, let's go beyond the businesses. Now let's look at the individual searches. So let's go back and choose a different database, not the U.S. business this time. Let's do the consumer lifestyle database this time. Again, always advanced search options unless you're just using it to look up a phone number. So first for geography, I'm just going to look for the city of Saratoga Springs. Actually, why don't I look for the zip code 12866? Easier than finding the city. And then I'm going to click the lifestyles for the people so I can choose different indicators. Let's say we're looking for people who might buy my wine. So let's go under cooking and wine and choose gourmet food or wine. And this is based on surveys of people who've indicated a strong interest in food and wine. And so then we go over here and you can choose demographics. Let's choose, for example, age, income always, and maybe gender. And so let's view our results and see what we have. Ta-da! A listing. And now if you want to look at this listing in more, to figure it out more broadly, you can go to the summary, and there's a matrix that you can choose. And if you choose the matrix, it will show you different things. So let's choose, these are among our wine enthusiasts now. Let's choose, again, the age and income. And it'll just show you these results in the summary format. So it breaks it down, how many you have in different income levels, how many you have by different age groups. So if you were only targeting seniors, for example, you would want to have a demographic where you had a lot of older people. If your business was targeting, women, you'd want a lot of women in your demographics. And this is one way to do it. I showed it as a matrix. You could also show it as a chart. You can, again, if we go back to the results, you can sort it by street address, for example, and these are actual live people who are living on 5th Street in Saratoga Springs, so you can do this. They've got a big disclaimer about not using the phone numbers without, because of the do not call list unless you call the do not call list. So, but that's up to you to do it. And if you want to do it, you can download. Again, I'll just take a few pages of it and download it and click the download, and then you click detailed records, and you can download your records. Work. Working again, they'll download to an Excel spreadsheet, so you can massage the data any way you want, and match it with Word to do a mail merge. Ask me how to do that. I learned how to do it for Christmas cards. I love mail merge, so it works really well. It's a really powerful tool. Oh, I forgot to.
Just at the bottom, you see.
Oh. Okay, now it's opening. I don't know. Again, so I downloaded the detailed, so it shows you everything. You probably don't need all these fields, and you can customize it to download only the fields that you want. So send your folks over to the Saratoga Library, and we'll work with them to do these. And then the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was using census data. And I'm sure you've all tried it, and I'm sure you've all had a really hard time with it. It's one of those things you could spend your whole life searching the census thing and find things. I found recently that they have GIS files, tiger-shaped files, and I'm active with the League of Women Voters, and we needed to set it up in our system so that if you typed in your address and you said you were from Saratoga Springs, and the Saratoga Springs candidates would come up on your list of, which candidates would be on your ballot and all that. So I had to learn about GIS and tiger shape, but again, it's the census. They've got all that information for free, which, the city planning, they have obviously much more extensive GIS things, but that is a possibility to use. Oh, yeah, go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so let's look at the American Fact Finder, and on the handout I gave you a lot of different sort of more pre-packaged links if you just want to pull up some general data. It's almost never enough for business. They want specific data. They're sort of interested in national trends and state trends, but honestly, they want data about the demographics of people who are in their target area. If it's a small business, they may be targeting the U.S., but they're more likely targeting a city, a county, a metro area as their main area. As you know, the long-form census is gone. We're no longer doing that every 10 years. So the American Community Survey is based on surveys. In metro areas, they do yearly surveys, and in metro areas, that data is pretty reliable. But if you're in a smaller area, the survey estimates are going to be the 5-year survey estimates are going to be your best bet, because the smaller the area, the less, the more margin of error they have. So what questions? It's all market research questions for the most part. Are there going to be customers for me if I'm running a daycare? Are there kids? If I'm running a senior center, are there seniors? Population estimates, the age distribution, sex, income, living arrangements. Do people in their own houses? Do they have apartments? What's the educational levels? How long are people commuting? How are they commuting? Their occupations. will I find skilled workers? If you're running a business and you need a highly educated workforce, you don't want to move somewhere where the only people within commuting distance do not have those skills, unless you can draw them in, which Global Foundries, of course, did from across the country, well, around the world, actually. But so let's go to the actually. I should stay there because I have a link on my thing. No, I don't. Okay, I'll just go to the internet. And if you just Google American Community Survey, actually even ACS might be enough. Oh, it's not. Okay. So the American Community Survey, here we are. If you go up to the top, it's got a data tool. There's lots of different ways to come into this, but probably the best way, instead of the American Community Survey, let's do the American Fact Finder. That would probably be easier to start to show here. The data tool has, and I put that in my handout because that's the richest way to do it. But the American Fact Finder is probably, yes, we still want them. Okay, so they have community facts, which are fun. If you put in your community, you'll get a nice little handout of facts about Saratoga County, for example. But again, the businesses that's not going to be enough for business research. They're going to want more. So head to the advanced search, reference librarians. That's the way we like to do it. So your options are on the side. And we had a fellow from the census come in and do training for us, and his approach is the way I'm going to train you, and this, I think, is a really best approach. First thing, select your geography. So where are you looking? I'm going to just choose Saratoga Springs. So you have to choose your, there's different ways to do it. So it's a subdivision. You choose a state. Oops, oh, I chose county subdivisions. I want municipal subdivisions. Oh no, I'll still do county subdivisions. Okay, Saratoga County. And then that'll bring up a pull-up list with all your cities. So I'm just going to, again, choose Saratoga Springs. And then you add that to your selections. Okay, so you're done with choosing the geography, and you can just close it. And then the next one is you can enter your characteristics. So let's look at the topics. And let's do people topics. I chose a few to use to show you today. Let's do people, let's do incomes, always incomes. Almost always you're going to be looking at, let's choose household incomes. Let's do employment status. And let's choose occupation as well. Okay, so we've added all those things to our search. And here's what you get. And this is the part that frustrates people. You get all these different tables. And this is why a lot of business databases make a lot of money charging people to search, because it's really hard to figure out what's the best one. Let's take the 2015 ACS 5-year estimates. Open that up. And you can see they've got, the employment status of lots of things. Women, it's got it by occupation, got it by industry, and it shows you how many people are in each income level. If you were looking at Saratoga Springs, this would be a good way to find out the wealth of the population, what they're doing. I chose their, what their, also, what their income is. So it's a really good way for a business to do this. You can download these. So if you go up to the top, you've got the table, you just click the download. Oops, that's not what I want. Oh, you can view it as a PDF. Oh, here it is, download. There's a download button. And you could choose. You could choose it as a PDF if you just want to look at it in general. But if you want to massage the data and you've got somebody who wants to really spend some time looking at it, choose the PDF font. And it will create, oh, it's done, okay. Here we go, another Excel data sheet. And if you look, it's got all that information in a table format, which is really helpful. I only chose a few indicators, and I chose a small area. So here you go. If you follow those steps, choose your geography, and then choose your topic, your characteristics that you want to search for. You're going to do the best at finding data that's actually going to be helpful for somebody else, for a small business person. Let's go back and do another search. Okay, again, let's do another search. Let's do, this time, let's do a comparison. Okay, you're a small business, you're coming in. Should I locate Saratoga County or should I locate in Warren County? They're both close to me, they're both places. So you pick your geography. And this time we're going to select two. We're going to select both Saratoga County and select it New York State. And so we've got all counties, and let's just pull up, we'll add to our search Saratoga. And you can see on the left over here, all your search terms are over here. So if you wanted, I forgot to get rid of the last search before we started, but you can just X out of the things that you don't want. Oops, sorry. It's better to clear it first before you start, sorry. I'll do it this way, just to show you that you can change your mind and add and subtract different things that you want. Okay, so we've got Saratoga County and Warren County. Now let's search by industry. We want all of the restaurants. So go to industry codes. And so I'm just going to, I already have, let's search for restaurants. I think that we only search for restaurants, so obviously there are other things, but it's easily understandable category. So we have restaurants, and here are your codes. Let's choose the full service restaurant, and you just add it to the search. Okay, so now you can see on the left we're looking for Saratoga County, Warren County, and restaurants. And so let's look at these lovely all the tables we have to choose from again. One of the tables that you're going to see is county business patterns. And this is actually a really helpful table. You might want to make note of this because this is often helpful for businesses, the county patterns. And they basically, if it shows how many, it's a small, it's not a big chart, but it shows how many establishments there are, how many employees there are, their annual payroll, and you can, delve into this and look at the chart for Saratoga County and Warren County, but you can also do a direct comparison. So this is, the county business patterns is helpful if you've got a startup company or a company that's looking to expand their business and wants to see what the business climate is in their community. I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, not fun stuff. It's business research, but I would like to take any questions you might have at this point.
I think it was the Reference USA that you were demonstrating that really drilled down to fairly personal levels. Where are they getting that data from?
Internet, phone books, everything. They get they get it from as many places as they can get it from. They're constantly updating it.
Yeah, well, that just happened.
Yeah. And we have looked at other databases. There are other databases that have directory information, and in my personal opinion, they don't compare. I mean, I would look at Saratoga Springs and I would say, search for real estate companies, and the other databases only got a fraction of them. I'm not saying that Realty USA is everything. I mean, Reference USA. Sorry, I'm thinking business. Reference USA has, like they're still showing Saratoga as a business, and that's not the case anymore. And so their information isn't always up to date. But I just looked. There's that brand new, I can't remember what it's called, where the Talbots used to be in Saratoga. They've got a new Vent. And it was in there already. I was like, whoa, that's pretty amazing. That was pretty fast. They got it up and going, and it's, so you can search for it. So the Reference USA, I mean, it's really easy for business people to immediately see the benefit of that, because they're not just getting background information. They're getting a marketing list. What else, can you ask for? So if you're fortunate enough to be able to afford it, I know my boss always says, do we really need to pay this money for this database? I'm like, yes, we need to pay this money for this database because I love it. But is it underused? Absolutely. I mean, I think all of our databases are underused, but that one kills me, because I think if the small businesses knew about it, and they do know about it if they come and ask us for help, but otherwise they don't find it. And it just looks like a business directory. Why would you be interested in that? It just looks like a way to look up a phone number, and they don't understand unless you really look at it and spend some time with it, you don't understand how powerful the tool can be.
Well, that's why you need reference librarians.
Right. That's right. Anything else? And the resource list that I gave you has a lot of other things on it.
Oh, we gave them all out.
But I mean, a lot of other resources, including, where to refer, because as a lawyer, I'm shocked that there's at least one person every day who asks us for legal help. Usually a form, but, often more than that, or referrals. And we are very fortunate that our free public access county, the county-based public access law libraries in our county, it's just down the street. It's at City Hall. It's on the second or third floor of City Hall. And it's huge, and it's got free Westlaw and Lexis. And it doesn't have a librarian, but it has a clerk who's really good. And they have a whole selection of self-help materials, including self-help forms. She knows how to help the public. And, we have a lot of these great form books, but inevitably, I look at it and it's like, we don't have the right form. At the law library, they have whole shelves full of form books. You could spend a while finding the right form, but you can find it, and it's free. And so
I was deep in the database. What are we talking about?
The free public access law libraries that every county has. And I gave you the link so you can look up the one in your county if you don't do it. And as I said, for us, you know, it's just sending them down the street, you know, 2 blocks. So it's meant for public use, and it's funded by the New York State Office of the Courts, and attorneys use it as well. And there's some things in there that would, you know, they've got whole sections of stuff that if you weren't a lawyer, you wouldn't need. But they also have they really try to provide service to the public. So they get a lot of people in. They want to do small claims. They want to keep from getting evicted. They want to evict somebody. You know, it's just the realm of questions that you get, which, you know, in the library, I mean, we have very limited resources for that. So I can help them up to a certain point, and there's a lot of stuff online. We have virtually no, except for the self-help NOLA books, we really don't have much legal section. It's all online these days. The laws are online, the cases are online, everything's online if people actually want to get into that. They want the law reviews, you know, if they're going to do actually a real legal research question, I send them to the public access law library. But, you know, there's a lot of strategic referrals that you can do to the chamber, to the economic development corporations, the IDAs, to all that. And I tried to give you a list of where I think you should refer, because, as Shelby said, I think one of the most helpful things you can do for people is refer them to somebody really good. And those SCORE folks are amazing. I mean, they can mentor a business from, you know, start to up and running, and walk them through all the things. So I think your ability to refer people is, you know, half of the battle. Anything else? And you're welcome, you know, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, if you're saying, how did we do that again? You're more than welcome to call me up and I'll walk you through it again. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. So every time I get to spend time with Chris, I don't know if I actually am smarter, but I feel smarter. And when she told me about the law library, she blew my mind, because I had no idea that was, I was like, I'm embarrassed to say, I did not know that we had access to that. So LexisNexis, y'all, it's awesome. All righty, so let's go back to, let's see. So now we've talked about kind of what the program's going to look like, who some potential partners are going to be, what resources we have to connect people with. Now we get to talk about what our expectations are from member libraries. So the grant is providing funds for us to coordinate and find experts to lead the workshop portion of these programs that we're going to do. But for our member libraries, what we're going to need you to do, and of course we're here to help with any of this that you need help with, is to, before we start the programs, is do some community mapping and figure out your demographics so that you'll have information to provide to small businesses and entrepreneurs when they come in, so that they have a sense. And also, so once you practice it, you can help them figure out who their market might be and what's available. The other thing you're going to need to do is help promote the program, because we don't want to do this and not have people come. In fact, we're hoping that you'll be able to recruit at least 10 people to each program, because we are going to put a lot of time and energy into this, and we want people to come and get this and get excited about it. We would love it if this was a good springboard for you to launch other programs related to it. And of course, we can always help you and put you in contact with people, and hopefully by creating new relationships or building on existing relationships that you have with your chambers of commerce or your EDCs, you'll have partners to help you do some of this stuff so that you're not out there all alone. And finally, because this is funded by the state, we need to collect lots and lots of information. So one of the things you're going to have to do is to record all sorts of data into project outcome, which is actually not that hard. And I apologize, we had planned to have a project outcome training as part of this, but it turns out that they're completely revamping their site that they weren't doing a month ago when we planned this. So right now it's down, so we can't do a training until the new version is launched. But as soon as that's launched, we'll put together a training and bring people in for that, or figure out another way to do it. So let me see, what else do we need to tell you? And so for projects that are up for this, if you decide you want to be a part of it, we will have memorandums of understanding. I'll work that out with Sarah and we'll get them to you. And then we're thinking about rolling this out in the fall because I know we're just about to hit summer reading and I think that everybody's going to be maxed out with that. So we'll be looking to start some of this in October so that we don't completely break all of you. So I understand what that's like. So to wrap up, we've talked about kind of why we're doing the grant, the different parts of the grant, the structure of the programs, and how to share library resources and the expectations of member libraries. And so thank you so much for all coming in today and listening to this and going through this with us, and thank you for being interested in the program. And if you have any questions, ask them, and I will be happy to answer them or find the answer and get back to you. So does anybody have any questions about the program, and or does this make sense to you, would be the other thing. Anything? All right, well, before I release you into the wild, everybody please, please, please fill out this lovely sheet. And there's a question on the back as well. And before you go, nobody gets to leave this room until the sheets are on that table. Yeah, it's all anonymous. Yeah, you can do it face down, but yeah, but you will be trapped in here forever with me. So, oh, let me check on, how do I make this bigger? Let me check on Nancy. Whoops.
Can I ask a question?
You can, Nancy.
Okay. First of all, Erica, you got to send me all the handouts because she was talking really fast. I couldn't even read the PowerPoint.
Okay. Will do.
Thanks. And I was wondering if I have a patron in Indian Lake and they want to use a database that I don't subscribe to, can I just send them down to Crandall or Saratoga? Is the database resident on the computers, the public access computers, or if they ask a reference librarian, will they get assistance without a Crandall library card or without a Saratoga library card?
Yeah, Nancy, yeah, I was going to say, oh, Kathy and Andrea's heads are about to fall off. They're nodding so hard. So, yeah.
I can't see.
Absolutely.
They won't be able to use it at home because
Right.
It's key, the library card is key, but yes, in the library.
Great. Thank you.
And also, I just want to say, for those who don't know, Nancy Berkowitz actually has experience with economic development as well. So we have a lot of talent in our community that we can tap. And don't think I've forgotten, Nancy. I'm going to exploit you at some point about that.
No problem.
Nancy, I'm sending you the survey.
Oh, very good.
Enter your data.
It's just going to say share your opinion in the header if I don't put changing it on my phone.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Didn't you?
That's all right.
Oh, and just one final reminder for everybody who didn't hear. So if you want to send somebody to the notary public training that's happening at SUNY Adirondack on April 27th, just go online and register through SUNY Adirondack. And at the end of the class, they give you a certificate. Send me a copy, and you will be reimbursed.
But then you have to take a test.
Yes, we're only paying for the class for the prep. So then, and they don't actually have you take the test there. They do have a practice test with like 80 questions. So you have a sense of how you're going to do. But then you have to register. Then you have to sign up and take the test. And yeah, yeah, yes. We're only the gateway drug. That's what it is. So, there we go. Nancy, did you have any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to stop the recording and end the meeting.